Welcome to the Process Podcast, and we have our special guest today, Darell Lee, the president of YRD National.
Happy to be here, Ed. Thank you.
Great to have you. And then we also have Sahaad Washington, the president of the Charlotte chapter, founding president of the Charlotte chapter.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being on the show. So we got a lot to talk about in a little period of time. I love what YRD is doing. That's the reason why I joined YRD. When Sahaad first told me about it, I was like, what is YRD? Young real estate. I'm not young. I got gray right there. She was like, it's not necessarily about all that.
Right.
It's a movement. And
right.
It's a passion to get the next generation
right.
involved with real estate.
Right.
So can you talk to me a little bit about YRD? And
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I'll go back to the first word, right, and YRD, which is young, right? And some people there's a misnomer around the word, right? So let me explain it, right? If you're a member of YRD, there is no age restriction, right? To be young is young in NAREB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which YRD is an affiliate of. You're young in real estate. Either you're just coming into real estate and you're learning, or you're just young at heart, where you continue to feed yourself with new information. That's what keeps you young. That's what YRD is about.
Got you. So is YRD, and I know the answer to, is it a part of NAREB or what is it exactly?
So let's look at it like if it was music, right? NAREB would be Def Jam and YRD would be Rockefeller.
Gotcha.
It's a subsidiary of a much larger organization. The National Association of Real Estate Brokers was born out of a need for democracy in housing. Colored people, black people, brown people in this country haven't always been represented in the world of real estate, right? So the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the founding members got together with a mission to represent our people in the real estate space.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we are unrepresented in a lot of ways, and we have been for years.
Yeah.
So these type of organizations, despite, I don't even want to go there, it's a political thing, but there's different organizations that are tearing down organizations that are building us up.
Yes.
So I always have love for organizations like this to help build us back up in the community.
And let me choose my words wisely, right? So there are a lot of programs that are being rolled back, right? But we existed before those programs were originated, right? And we're going to continue to exist afterward, right? Some people are upset at the administration. Some people are upset at their local government. But the one thing is for sure is that black people have survived every president administration that's ever been created in this country. So don't worry, right? Don't be afraid when you see them rolling things back. That only means that we need to come together, right? And that's what YRD is about. That's what NAREB is about. It's about finding like-minded individuals who have a goal for generational wealth, using real estate as a vehicle for it.
That's right. That's right. So I like your approach to it, because you're like, it's not no doom and gloom.
No, it's not.
Hope is still here. It's been here.
It's not.
I joke to my wife all the time. I say, even if I didn't have no house or whatever, we go live in the woods and go live in a tent and make it happen. Go fish, go hunt, or whatever because we have those survival instincts.
Correct.
Because we've had to have them for years.
Correct.
So ain't nothing changed.
Not for us.
You know what I'm saying? We just know how to pivot and adjust.
Yeah.
Based on the play that's going on out here. So,
that's a fact.
So I love that. So how did the RISE program, talk to me about the RISE program. How did that come about, and what is your involvement with it?
Right. The RISE program is the meat and potatoes of YRD. The Young Realtors Division was created to assist our much larger organization, which is NAREB. And the way in which we do that is we find and select young leaders that are making moves or want to make moves in this space, right? We give them leadership tools, right? And the program RISE exposes them to the world of real estate, right? Me being from Brooklyn, New York originally, I grew up in a metropolis that's rent-driven, right? So I lived in an apartment building. My friends lived in projects, right? So your goal is to get a bigger apartment because the conversation about home ownership doesn't happen at least it didn't happen at my dinner table. And it's not happening at a lot of dinner tables for us. So what RISE does is RISE exposes youth to occupations in real estate, the idea of investment in real estate, and just overall like networking and professional skills we try to pass along to young adults.
Gotcha. I love that. I wish now just if I would have a magical ball to go back in time, I wish I had a YRD or a RISE that I could have went to. I didn't really get into real estate, I would say, until maybe my late 30s.
Okay.
So that's when I was actually exposed to it earlier. I bought my first house we bought it at what, 23? Yeah, we were 23
That's
years
amazing.
old. So that was my first exposure
That's amazing.
to real estate. But growing up, I can't tell you that I knew of any real estate agents that looked like me.
That's the purpose of YRD, right? It's exposure. Most of us don't, like I said, have those dinner time conversations about purchasing and owning real estate. That's just not a normal conversation in some of our homes. What YRD does is we're here for exposure. We're here to show young adults that you can be a plumber and make $150,000 a year. You can be an electrician and make $100,000 a year. You can be entitled. You can be a real estate attorney, right? You can just be an investor in real estate, right? Exposing young adults to this sets them up for generational wealth, right? Because you just said, Ed, if you would have known this, if you could have rolled back time and you started at your first purchase was
23.
23, right? And that's starting very young. And my experience for people that purchase and own homes. But if you're understanding that at 18 and 19 years old, that if I purchase something as small as a condo, right, it's going to appreciate in value over the next however many years I stay there. There's only two vehicles that continue to appreciate over time, and that's stocks and that's real estate. Those are the only two things that year over year most oftentimes gives you the same return. Yeah. Right. And so if you have this information and you're young, and I'm going back to that 18-year-old, that 19-year-old that gets a condo and stays there for 5 years, in 5 years, right, the value of your condo would have went up. Right. If you choose to keep it and get another property, then you can then rent that condo out. Right. And what rent was at the time when you purchased it 5 years later is definitely more than it was then, right? So if we're having a conversation about your mortgage and you can afford your mortgage in it's 2025, right? You can afford your mortgage in 2025. In 2030, you would have successfully
Equity.
You would have successfully rose in whatever your profession is. You're making more money in 5 years. Like the hope is you make more money in 5 years than you're making now, right? And most adults follow that track. So if I'm making more money 5 years from the time that I purchased a property with a mortgage that was comfortable for me 5 years ago,
right?
5 years from now, it's extra comfortable for me because it hasn't changed, but I can rent it for more than I did when I first got the property. Right. So you can purchase and repurpose. It's something that we look at.
Man, I love that. So I hate to keep on going back to myself as far as growing up.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be a rapper, entertainer.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't play ball. I sucked at that.
Got you.
Got cut from every team I ever tried out for. But in terms of music, I was real good with that. If I would have had, in hindsight, if I would have knew how powerful owning real estate was or getting into the real estate industry, I could have done both. I think a lot of times we think that we can only have one dream or we can only do one thing. No, I could have still pursued entertainment and still had investment property and built off that, or became a real estate agent out of high school, but we just don't know this.
Exactly.
So we don't know what we don't know. You know what I'm saying?
It's also there's not enough representation in our fields as real estate practitioners. You don't see us. And so when I was coming up, I didn't know a single Black real estate agent. I certainly didn't even know what a mortgage broker or a loan officer was. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But if you don't see it, there's no representation. That's not going to be a thought for the youth. Okay, what's that person doing? That might be something that I can do.
Right.
It just gets stuffed down your throat. Like you're going to go to college, you're going to get a degree, and then you're going to have a career. And we know now that doesn't equate to having a career that's going to be able to provide for you and your family.
Correct.
You can go and stack those degrees up. It's not a guarantee anymore. And there's no talk about getting us as a people into the trades, into other fields, into sales where we can be successful. My background, I had a totally different upbringing and there was no plan. I grew up in foster care. So when I turned 18, I knew immediately that I was going to be homeless. So the thought about going to college was like unrealistic because, okay, you're going to go to school, but then where are you going to live, right? Tried that. And then when the dorms closed, you're back to being homeless again. So I went through that struggle. And when I got introduced to real estate, it was pushed on me because I had someone else that is not like us, a different race, that said, you have money set aside, you need to purchase a home. And at the time I was getting ready to have my son. I was very young. I was 19 and still homeless. And she's, you need to purchase a home. And I could not understand why she stressed it so much. I was like, just give me the money. She's like, no, you're going to purchase a house. And this is someone that had bought 3-4 houses and they understood the equity and the stability and what it would do for my livelihood if I had ownership of real estate. And going through that process, I was introduced to a real estate agent. I was introduced to a loan officer, still not having an understanding of what their true role was, but it piqued my interest enough. I was like, I wonder if I can do that. And there's very little information when you go looking for it as far as how many different jobs can you have in the real estate industry. Now there is, but at the time it's like, where do you even start?
Yeah.
And when I pursued it, it took me 6 years. No one would hire me for any type of mortgage job. I wasn't interested in being a real estate agent, but nobody would open the door for me. And when it finally happened, I remember this was a white female that told me flat out, you're not getting into the mortgage industry unless someone opens the door for you. Wow. But you can come and be my assistant and I'll teach you how to do this. Then she said, you're not going to get paid a salary anymore. You're going to get paid commission. So if you can prepare yourself to be broke for at least a year, I guarantee you learn mortgages, you'll never be broke again. And that is the truest thing. But I didn't have anybody to open the door for me until she came along. So fast forward now, if I would have knew at 18 the type of money that you can make in real estate, I don't know that it would have ever been a thought that I need to try to figure out how to do what everyone else is doing because I would have had all these different avenues that I have access to. And so that's what I'm looking to give back. I know enough now. I've become successful. I need to get you at 16 and 17. What is your plan? Right. And if that's not a real plan for you that you feel like you can execute on, here are all these different careers that you can do right now, as soon as you turn 18, so that you can survive, so that you can provide.
That's the reason why I love when you came to me about it, when we talked about it on the other show. I was like, she talking my language. We talking about the kids because you got to reach them. You don't have to get out here and get in the streets and have ops and all crazy kind of stuff to have money or prestige. You can do it the legal way and not have to watch your back. So we just have to change mindsets. I really think there should be a curriculum in schools geared toward, and you're smiling because you guys are probably already working on that, but we need to be in schools so we can, I think, hope it. We're losing a lot of people because a lot of us are losing hope.
Yep. And you lose hope when you don't have options, right? And so that's what the purpose of YRD and this RISE program is, to give you options, right? Your first week, you're going to be exposed to the trades in real estate. So you learn a little bit about what plumbers do, what electricians do, what someone in title does, what a real estate attorney does. So we'll give you a brief synopsis of these different opportunities and how they might work. The second week, we'll bring in real practitioners from these occupations to have a conversation with our demographic, and we're looking at 18-year-olds and older to teach them this information. A practitioner will come in and give you firsthand knowledge of what it's like to be that plumber. We'll use a plumber as an example. They'll give you real world experience about what it is to be a plumber, how they make their money, how they built their business, so you can understand the mindset of entrepreneurship, not just trying to get a job for somebody else. That third week, we take you on site, right? So if we're talking about a plumber, then you actually go to a site where maybe there's new development and they're putting plumbing in, right? Maybe there's a pipe that needs to be repaired and you get a look at that, right? But the purpose of it is to make sure you can shadow someone or some people, right, that are in the areas of real estate that you may have interest in or you may have not been exposed to, right? So you have an opportunity to see that, hey, I can be in human resources and still be a plumber on the side and make an extra $60,000.
Right.
We live in a gig society now. I don't know too many people that only have one stream of income. It's very tough, as
That's real.
As President Washington was saying. It's difficult to survive just off one stream of income. People do it, but in the world that we live in, 2025,
Yeah,
you need a little bit more.
Yeah.
So now this fourth week, right, you're going to reflect over the last 3 weeks, right? We give you materials and information so we can assess how you were impacted by this information, right? Because we not just are going to tell you about real estate trade, but we're going to tell you how to invest in real estate also, even if it's just to purchase a property, to understand what that looks like, to understand that you don't need 20% down in order to make that happen, to understand that you don't have to have a 700 credit score in order to purchase a property, right? This is the information we want you to walk out the door with, as well as giving you some leadership skills and some professional education around networking, right? Because that's something that most of our youth don't know how to do. They don't know how to network.
Some grown people don't know how to.
Some grown people,
Yeah.
right, don't know how to network, right? They don't know what an elevator speech is,
Right.
And so you don't need to be in real estate to have an elevator speech. If you're an 18-year-old going to college, you can still have an elevator speech. I'm 18 years old. I'm going to Tuskegee. I'm studying computer science, right? And I'm looking to learn more. That's your pitch for whoever you're speaking to. They know a lot about you in that space. We have to teach our youth how to do that, because we have to move in and out of spaces sometimes that we're not welcomed in, right? So if I'm in a space that I'm not welcomed in, but I do find somebody that's willing to have a conversation with me or receptive to who I am, I might need to get in and out of there. Here's 30 seconds of who I am. Here's my digital card, right?
Why you got to get in and out of that?
You got to get in and out because you might got to go to work.
Yeah,
You might have to go to work. You might have to go to school. You might not have time. You may feel uncomfortable,
right,
in the
right,
space that you're in. And we're working with the kids to make them more comfortable in uncomfortable places. But if you're armed with specific tools, right, around networking, around professionalism, then you can walk in a space that you feel uncomfortable in, but lean on those tools to get comfortable. Right. So in this fourth week, this is what we're explaining to our 18-year-olds, our 19-year-olds, our first and second year college students, our seniors in high school. We're giving them this information to let you know that we're not here to deter whatever your path is. We're just here to give you more options.
I love that. That's good stuff, man. You can almost drop the mic with that. But I have more questions.
I got more answers.
So you see what I'm saying? I like you. So it's a 4-week course?
Yes. We have a truncated version.
Okay.
So we can do an 8-hour session where we make the program digestible in a day, right? For different events. Sometimes, like, we're looking at putting together a youth summit where in 3 cities we're teaching this information at the same time, right? Charlotte is going to be one of them. Memphis is going to be another city. And we're looking for a 3rd city right now to do it in. But we're going to have a youth summit this summer. We're looking at June or July, where it's going to be a 6 to 8 hour session where we're bringing kids in and we're exposing them to everything I just talked to you about.
Man, that's a beautiful thing, man. Y'all, I'm getting warm and fuzzy. You know what I mean? Because I just Sahaad coming from foster care.
Yep.
A lot of kids are just forgotten about. If they don't get it, a lot of adults are like, that ain't my problem. That ain't my kid.
Right.
It is your problem.
Yep.
Because when they breaking into your house or they feel like they don't have any other options and they're creating an option, now it becomes your problem.
Yep.
We're everyone's problem.
Yep.
It's not a ain't my problem type of thing. We are all one. We are all walking as one on this earth. Again, I ain't gonna go into the political realm, but we're all affected by decisions that are made.
Right.
What it could look like when, at least from my story, this is my impact initiative, right? Everything that we do here with YRD is around impact. And the leaders at this time and across the nation, these are very credible individuals. These are real stories. There's real influence. There is a real desire to create impact within the community, to serve at the highest level, which is touching the youth, right? This is a volunteer organization, but what we're pouring back into our communities and into our youth is that we do exist. You are allowed to decide what you want your future to look like. And we're not coming and saying you have to meet XYZ criteria for us to be in front of you. No, you have to be in the community and decide that this is something that you're interested in, and we're going to be there to walk you through it, because you need to know that we exist. Should you decide to go a different route, you have all these different options, because we know what it looks like when the youth have idle hands, when they have no direction. And then there are people in society, I'm just going to say it for what it is, have an elitist mentality that if the kids don't look a certain type of way, or the adults don't look a certain type of way, they're not going to be given access to these resources because they're in some way undeserving, right? And that always hits me, because if you had the upbringing that I had, you don't get to tell me that I don't deserve to have access to the same things because I grew up different, or my living situation is different, or my circumstances are different, right? I want to be able to show up in front of kids to let them know you have the option to decide what you want your life to look like, right?
Yeah.
We exist, and we're credible representation of that. Everybody has different backgrounds, and it's okay for you to not be okay right now. We want to make sure that you're going to be okay in the future, and you know how to pivot, right? Silver Spoon doesn't know how to pivot. They don't know how to do it. Kids that have grown up in different type of environments, demographics, there are different types of classism, and you know what I'm saying without saying it. They know how to hustle, and they know how to get it from the mud,
yes.
right? And by any means necessary. I want to take what you already have in you and help you apply it to areas that are going to impact your future and change your life. Let's retarget that energy, right? Let me give you 15 other different options of where the skills that you are born with, that your community has built up in you, it's in there. Let's redirect it towards these things, because we don't just want you to be financially successful. We want you to be emotionally whole, that you're deserving. And that's what's really important to me, that there isn't enough of that. People come and talk to kids, and they show up in suits, and they look a certain type of way. And if I was a kid at that time, like, I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is so far-fetched for me. But we show up in hoodies and Timbs, and we're the Young Realtors, and my story looks like your story, right? They instantly know that we know what we're talking about. And that's going to change from city to city, but I believe there needs to be more of that, with meeting kids where they're at and pouring into them that confidence, that self-love, that emotional encouragement, that you deserve to have whatever it is that you decide to have.
It takes a village. YRD is that village. Young Realtors Division is what YRD stands for. To become a realtist is to be a member of the organization, but to become a realtist is to know that you have family all across this country. NARAB is present in, I believe, 103 cities. YRD, as a refounded organization, we're about 16 chapters deep, which is 16 cities, right, and continuing to grow. And our mission is democracy in housing, and to make all those with ears, all those that can see, all those that can speak, understand that the quickest way to wealth is through real estate. The top 1% attribute over 50% of their wealth to real estate.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's definitely a movement. I feel the energy. I feel the movement. Now, the course, is there a cost associated with it?
No. We're not.
Say that again.
Yeah,
say that.
no.
Say that right in there.
There is no cost to be a participant in the RISE program. This is, we're not for profit. We're not looking to get rich here. We're looking to get the community rich, right? We're looking to enrich young adults, right? And the way to do that is to give them this information, right? To give them the process, right? So that they're able to go out and teach one, each one teach one, right? So you can come to the RISE class, and you can leave that RISE class and share that information with people who haven't attended, who have an inkling or want to know what you're doing or what you're going through. That's how you spread community. Like, the best form of marketing is word of mouth. right? That's the best form of marketing. You go to any college in the country and they're going to teach you that, right? Having someone who successfully came through the RISE program and been exposed to all of these opportunities in real estate, they're not going to keep it to themselves. And they're going to share it with the people, their neighbors, their friends, their co-workers, their students, and we'll continue to grow that way.
Man, I love that. I love that. No charge. I know everybody's looking
No
at me.
charge.
What are they trying to say? I know it's going to
Free
come at the
99.
end.
It's free.
They want to
99.
know how much it's going to cost. It just costs your time.
Yeah,
And you just telling the next young person about it.
correct.
I know when I was younger, I used to love going to the YMCA. As a foster kid, that's how I can hang out and play air hockey and all that. I think this is like YMCA on steroids to me because it's a continuation
Correct.
of where the YMCA picked off.
Correct. And the word you use, continuation, just brought me to a point that I want to drive home. The RISE program is continuous, right? After your 4 week or after your day, right, depending on the time constraints the kids may have, the exposure that you have, we just don't expose you and let you go, right? If there's an interest that you have, then we set you up with a practitioner in that space so that you can shadow them, right? So that we point you in a direction to the real estate school so you can learn to be a real estate agent, right? Or you can get the information so you can become a lender, right? If you're interested in what we've shown you, we take you to the next step, right? We don't just bring you to the dance and walk away, right? We'll actually dance with you, right? So when you come through our program, you're working with individuals who are already practitioners in the space, right? And they will continue to handhold, if necessary, to get you to where you're trying to go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So what do you think makes this program different from, there's other similar programs out there for youth. What do you think makes YRD and the RISE program different from any other program out there? No knock against their program.
Right, right. I try not to compare our organizations to other ones because they say, what is that phrase? Comparison is the thief of joy, right? Yeah. So I try not to set our goals according to what other organizations are doing, right? So I won't try to give you the differences between what we do and what someone else does. I'm just going to tell you what we do, and we do it the best, right? When we, as realtors, when we come into a space, we're coming into a space with open arms. We're looking to engage with people that look like us, that don't have this information that we have, right? We're passionate because we're practitioners. Everybody's practicing. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a property manager. President Washington, she's a lender, amongst other things. And we have a passion for not just our community, but for the occupation in which we earn, right? Real estate saved my life, right? I didn't know, coming from New York to Chicago, I had no idea what I would be doing in Chicago when I left. I just knew I needed a change. And when I found out that I could earn $65,000 and own a 4-unit building, like that blew my mind, right? Like I was earning $65,000 and I was looking at buying a 4-unit building, right? And I was qualified and willing to do that. I went in another direction. But the point is, once I figured that out, I said, yo, I got to tell somebody about this. Nobody back at the crib knows that you don't need 20%. You don't need a 700 credit score. You can get down payment assistance. Right. Like there are all types of avenues and vehicles to help you get inside doors in a roof that you can own, right? So YRD really, for me, as president of the national organization, is a platform for me to yell to everyone that this is for you. Right. Don't think that it's not. Right. This is for you. You can own. And some people don't want to be homeowners, and that's cool. Get you a condo, right? Get a townhome, right? Get a co-op, but own. Because it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee whoever's listening to this or watching this, they live somewhere. And they're paying some to live in that place. And it's a guarantee they're gonna be doing that till they leave here. So if you're gonna pay to stay somewhere, why not pay yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, you're dropping so many gems. We're going to have to do a part 2 real quick because it's just time is just flying by.
It is.
But I love this conversation. Let's continue it.
Yes.
All right.